All right, everyone. I recorded this once and it was like a 13-minute video, so I'm going to try again and make it less time for you, but I am out of checks, so you can just see here that the answer is correct that I'm going to show you because I can't check it at the end. But so let me see. I'm going to return here. Quick, get out of, delete all these. We can go through. So the way that I've found, they're asking here for our ending inventory and cost of goods sold. The way that I found for me easiest to do this was on an Excel sheet. And I took the information that they gave us here and I used it to figure out these other items. So we're going here first with specific identification. And they tell us that this is the data they recorded and they use a periodic inventory, and the ending inventory was 450, 150 which were from each of the last three purchases. So these three purchases, July, October, and December. So with the specific identification, we are going to represent that 150. And so 150 here, ending inventory with the total of 450 from each of those purchases. Now that 150 is all represented by the price that we paid for it. So 150 times that 450 gives us 675, 870, and 885 for a total of 2,430. And then coming over here to cost of goods sold, all of our inventories from these three things, right? So we sold all of this 250 and this 540. So that 250 times the 4 gives us a cost of goods sold for our beginning inventory of 1,000, so on and so on. But here we did not sell 150 of this 1,180. So that gives us this 1,030. 1,030 times that 450 gives us a cost of goods sold for that 1,030 of this 4,000. And then so on and so on for these two, for a total cost of goods sold here of 15,661. 15,661. Now, when we come to the weighted average here, again, we have 150 coming from each of these months, right? But what we're trying to find is this number here, which is just the average cost of everything we paid and everything we had. So we had a total of 3,550 units, and we paid a total of $18,091 for that 3,500 with these varying prices, varying amount of units, right? So the way that we get this 510 is by taking this total of all of our cost, dividing it by the amount of units that we had, which gives us our 510. And we're going to use that to determine our cost of goods sold and our ending inventory. So ending inventory 150 times that 510 gives us the 764.41, and it's the same for each month because we're just doing the same thing with all this 150, giving us a total of $293.23. And that is important. It does ask for 2 decimal places. The weighted average is the only one that has any cents. Everything else is a whole number. But so for this one, make sure you do add in the cents. So then same over here, just like up here, we have 150 less there and 150 less of each of these because those are still in our inventory, and our price for that is again based off of this 510. So that 250 times 510, and that 540 times 510. Same for each of these. We are basing our inventory sold off of that 510. I guess I could have probably come in here and just done this 3,010 times 510. I would have gotten the same number. That might be easier, but I wanted it all like this so I could have it. And so that means that our cost of goods sold was 15 $797.77. And then come down here to FIFO. This one I had to think about for a second. And even though, you know, on these last ones, we still have units that we bought in July and October and December in our ending inventory. We are only calculating our ending inventory off of, because we're saying that this is the last out because it was the last in, right? Because we're using first in, first out. So all these will be sold before we start taking from this according to this accounting method. And so this 450, the ending inventory amount on it is only based off of that 590 because we can take all 450 out of the 520 that we have, making it so we sold all of these, right? These are the same as what our units here, but we only sold 70 of this 520 because the rest is our ending inventory. So then that gives us an ending inventory of 2,655 and cost of goods sold of 15,436. Because again, here we're just that based off that. Each of these is based off of the price that we paid for them. And then it's going to be the opposite here, but we can't take 450 out of our beginning inventory. So we do have to take some out of our first purchase because last in, first out. We're assuming that we sold all of these 500 and all of these up until, you know, up here where we're having some ending inventory. So 250 plus 200 gives us the total of 450. And then we're basing our ending inventory prices off of these. So we have an ending inventory price of $1,950. And then come over here to cost of goods sold because last in, first out. We're basically saying that we didn't sell any of our beginning inventory and we didn't sell 200 of our purchase here in March. So we sold 0 of our beginning inventory, only 340 of our March purchase, and then everything from our other purchases, giving us a cost of goods sold of 16,141. And that is higher because our price is rising. That means that we're saying that our cost for these units that we sold were higher because we sold these ones first, where here it's the lowest out of all of them because we're saying that we sold these ones first, and then our highest costs, we only sold 70 at our highest cost. And so our cost of goods sold is lowest here. Weighted average, somewhere in between those two, as it should be. So next thing that it wants is our net income, and that is going to be FIFO. The way that I figured that out, like I said, it should be pretty easy, kind of based off this guessing. But for example's sake, let's say that they sold each of this 3,010 units for $10, right? They paid this much, but they sold it for this much. So that means our sales were 31,000, right? We sold these units and made 31,000. But now we have to minus out our cost of goods sold to find our net income. So that's exactly what this is doing. We have our 30,000 minus our cost of goods sold gives us our net income. So we can see here that on FIFO, we have the highest net income for all of them because our cost of goods sold was the lowest as well. So it's going to be FIFO. And then, as you saw at the beginning, FIFO was correct. And if we come back here, I took a little screenshot for you, so it'll drag over, maybe. So I want to drag. There we go. All those numbers there are correct. So hopefully this is shorter. And if you have any questions, let me know. And good luck.